Hey guys, how you doing today? I was tagged by It's Me, Rebecca B, and it's a houseplant tag. It's got like 10 questions. I usually don't do these tags, but I thought this one had some pretty cool questions, and it it just kind of will let you guys know a little bit more about me and other plant people, how we got started in plants. So I'm just going to go ahead and start out, read the questions and answer them, and then I have about 6 people that I want to tag because I would be interested in knowing their answers to these questions. So, alright, let's get started. The first question is, I'm reading this off of my iPad, and it's very small writing, so. The first question is, when did you first start getting into houseplants? Well, I would have to say for me personally, which is what this is about, duh, but my mom has always had houseplants and an outside garden. So mine really started with my mom way back when I was a little girl. I always helped her in her garden. I dug holes. We planted vegetables. We planted flowers together. I would help her take care of her house plants that she had in her home. She had big, huge spider plants. She had peace lilies. She had ferns everywhere. I mean, she had all kinds of stuff. So I would have to say, um, way back when I was a little girl, and then I actually bought my very first house plant when I still lived at home. I was a teenager. I actually spent my babysitting money on a spider plant. And I was very proud of that spider plant, and I loved it, and I took care of it. Um, okay. Second question is, what is your oldest house plant? I would have to say my oldest house plant would be my Schefflera umbrella plant. I have her upstairs in my foyer room, and I have had her since we lived out of the farmhouse, and I believe we've lived out here for 17 years in this house. And so I would have to say that that Schefflera has got to be at least 20 years old. And I will try to go up and take a picture and put it in the video if I can figure out how to do that. Because Suzette don't edit. I suck at it. So, sorry guys. Okay. Third question is, what was the first plant to really kickstart your collection? Well, I don't really know. That is kind of a hard question. Because I've always been around plants. I've always grown plants. When I first moved out of the house and got my very first apartment, I had plants everywhere. I'm trying to think. That would have been, oh my God, I'm 53, so I got my first apartment when I was 19. I'm trying to remember the very first plant I would have ever bought in that apartment, but I really don't know. It was probably like a spider plant and some ivy, pothos. or something along that line, you know, because, I mean, back then you didn't have the kind of plants that we have now that are available to us. So, I don't know. I would have to say probably a spider plant or a pothos or, uh, I don't know, something like that along that line. I don't know for sure. Um, Fourth question is, what plants do you struggle to keep alive? That one is a very simple question. I struggle with succulents. I have a few that I'm able to keep alive, but they don't thrive. They're not, I do better with them outside in the summertime because I can take them outside and put them in my greenhouse and they do really well. And then I bring them back in the house and they just never look good. So I would have to definitely say succulents are my downfall. I am getting better, but they really are a plant that I have a hard time keeping alive. So definitely succulents. Question number 5 is, what is the biggest mistake you made with plants? And that's definitely overwatering. I've always been an overwaterer because I love to take care of my plants, and I've always had an issue with overwatering. My collection has gotten a lot bigger since my kids have all moved out of the house, and I'm not working anymore, so I have more time to take care of my plants, and I have more plants now, so overwatering is not an issue for me, but I'm also not going to the other side of that and underwatering anything, like missing plants or, you know, not getting them watered in time or anything like that. So definitely is, I have killed a ton of plants by overwatering them. So that would be that answer. Question number 6 is, what was the most expensive plant that you've bought, and is it still alive? I've been thinking about this, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the most amount of money that I've ever spent on a plant, because I'm not rich, guys, not by any means, I would have to say it would have to be, I spent $50, and that was with the plant and shipping. And that would be my Anthurium vetii that I ordered from NSC Tropicals because I really, really wanted it. And I couldn't find it anywhere else at the time. And I saved my money, and I bought that plant. I ordered it from NSC Tropicals. And you know what was funny? Oh, and yes, by the way, that plant is still alive and it's thriving. She looks beautiful. Actually, she's sitting right above me. My vetii right there. She's beautiful. But yes, that is the most amount of money that I've ever spent on a plant. I don't buy really expensive plants because, number one, I can't afford it. I would rather, to me, I enjoy buying a cutting that is cheap. If there's a plant that I really want and they're too expensive, I'll buy a cutting, or I'll buy a smaller, you know, plant like a baby. I like watching my stuff grow. I don't like buying big, huge plants. And I mean, I do, everybody does, but you know what I mean. Some plants are just untouchable for me because of the price. I've got bills to pay, a mortgage to pay. You know, I mean, I mean, it's great if you can afford it. I'm not saying, you know, anything about that, but I'm just saying I can't afford it. I don't work anymore. for health reasons, and you know, so we're living on one paycheck now. So yeah, I don't spend a lot of money on plants. I like to buy cuttings. I like to do plant trades with people for plants that I want. So yeah, 50 bucks from NSC Tropicals, my vetii, my Anthurium vetii, and she is definitely one of my favorite plants, and I don't spend that kind of money on plants. So okay, there's that question. I'm like just gonna keep chatting and chatting and talking and talking. um let's see here. Okay, question number 7. Do you have a certain variety or genus that you are drawn to? Yes, I do. I really love anything in the aroid family. As you guys know, if you've watched my videos long enough, you know that I love aroids. I love philodendron. I love my anthuriums. I love anything in the alocasia, colocasia, elephant ear family for outside in my garden in the summertime. I have just a couple here in the house, but I like to grow them outside in the summertime. Number one, they just get too big for in the house. Number two, they're very, very prone to spider mites in the house. And the majority of them have a rest period, and they really need to rest to grow and thrive. So definitely my favorite genus is aroids. And second up, I believe, would be Ripsalis, and then Begonia. Maybe not quite in that order, but I really like the Ripsalis family. Begonias, I like cactus. Anything in the cactus family I'm really drawn to. So, okay. Question number 8. Do you also garden outdoors? If so, edibles, herbs, fruits, flowers. I grow it all, yes. I garden outside. In the summertime, I live in Ohio, so I only have like April, May, June, July, August, September. If I'm lucky, still in October, that I can still be out doing gardening. I love gardening. I have a vegetable garden. I have flower gardens everywhere. Those of you that have been back again with me for a while know that I do have a outside garden, and I love it. I love taking care of my houseplants. I love taking care of my flower gardens and my vegetable gardens. Even though I have in the last couple, 4 years maybe. I'm trying to think how long my kids have been gone. Maybe 3, 4, where they've all, you know, moved out. I mean, I only have 2 kids. It's not like I got 20. That made it sound like I have like 20 kids, but no, I have 2 kids. I have my son. He is 33, and my daughter is 24. So they haven't lived here for, I think my last one moved out when he was like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but he had kind of a late start. He was back and forth. My son is in the Marines, so he's back and forth a lot, but oh well, anyways. Yes, I do have a flower garden and a vegetable garden. I have a greenhouse, and I love every minute of summertime. There's not a day that goes by that I am not out there in my flower beds. So, question number 9. What is the coolest plant in your collection? You know, this is a very, very hard question for me. I've thought about it, and to just choose one for me is very, very hard. I like a lot of them. I like but if I had to only pick one, I would have to say it would be my philodendron melanochrysum right now. I just got her from a friend. I love that plant. That plant has been on my wish list for a very, very long time. And I feel very lucky to have it in my collection because it was a plant that was untouchable for me because of the price of it. Um, but I was lucky enough to have a friend of my life that actually gave me one of her babies. She had two and she gave me one. And I would have to say second runner up or a good tie with my melanochrysum would be my philodendron ecuadornese. She is gorgeous and I absolutely love her. I stare at that plant all the time when I'm sitting here, and so that would probably be my two choices because I can't, I have too many plants. You can't make me just pick one. There's no way I can just pick one. Oh, actually, that was the coolest plant in your collection. I think I said my favorite, but it still stands. Coolest, favorite, pretty much the same. Ecuadornese, philodendron ecuadornese, and my philodendron melanochrysum. Definitely. Uh, what is the number one plant that you want in your collection but you haven't acquired yet? Well, my number one plant actually that I wanted, that has been on my wish list for a couple of years now, was my philodendron melanochrysum. But I got her. And the next plant is, you know, I'm very, very happy with my collection right now. There are a couple of anthuriums that I would like to get. I really am very drawn to the strap leaf anthuriums. I have the verifolium and I have the gracile. I really would like to get the anthurium pendifolium, and there are a couple more. I really like the crystallanum too. I would like to get her. I'd like to get the anthurium plowmanii. I'm really hot and heavy on the search for my philodendron McDowell. So, yeah. But for the number one plant, I think that would be reachable for me right now would definitely be the philodendron McDowell. That would be, what is the number one plant you want in your collection but haven't acquired yet? That would definitely be is the McDowell or the plowmanii. See, I can't make up my mind. So these are really tough questions. I mean, to really have to stop and think about it. But that was question number 10, and so that was it. And now I want to say who I want to tag, because they're people that I want to hear from and know what their answers are going to be. So the first person that I want to tag is Lisa from Lisa Bud's channel, and I will put the questions down below in my description box, and then I'll put all the people that I tagged down there. And if you want to do it, do it. If you don't. I mean, you don't have to, but I thought this was actually a pretty cool tag for questions. So, okay, first person is Lisa from Lisa Bud's channel. I'd love to have her do this. I'd like to hear from Todd from Todd's Tropicals. And I'd like to hear from Jungle Girl Plants. I'd like to hear from Plant Utopia, Michelle. And I'd like to hear from Linda C. Plants for You. And I would like to hear from Peggy at Peggy's Tropical Garden. And I think I got everybody. And that is it. Like I said, I will put all the questions down in the description box, and I will talk to you guys later. You have a great day and a great weekend, actually. This is Friday, so cool. We're getting a lot of rain. I'm glad we have a boat. You guys have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.